Good evening. Welcome to the February 25th edition of Sports on Sunset. I'm James Jericho.
I'm Savory Johnson.
Let's get right to the main topic. We had to take a week or so off. Why, I don't remember. We were both high. Anyway, Barry Alvarez, the athletic director from the University of Wisconsin, took his own conference to task, sort of. The Big 12 is no longer Big 10, whatever the hell they're calling themselves. They have 12 teams.
Yeah.
They're no longer going to schedule FCS opponents. For those of you who don't really know what those initials stand for, you have Division I football, which everybody loves, everybody wants to see. And then you have the levels below. You can still give scholarships to these guys, but that's a level below. So what would happen is you're talking about teams that simply aren't very good, going into some of the most hallowed stadiums in all of college football, playing some of the most noteworthy teams in college football, and getting their asses worked in each and every game, with a few exceptions, only a couple, frankly. Most of those scores would be the Big Ten team winning by upwards of 50 points, inflating their own value. And basically, the reason that these things were done is so that these bigger schools could could wind up having another home game. They would cut a check to the smaller school, which said they needed the money, get a cheap win to go up the rankings, and basically have an easy win that would please the fans without anybody getting hurt.
Yeah. But
it was shitty football.
Most certainly.
Absolutely horrible football. I mean, unless you are a fan of the schools, absolutely unwatchable. Now, Alvarez, I don't have the quotes in front of me because it was a couple of weeks ago and we had to get this set up pretty quickly. He called the schedule unappealing.
And he's right.
But with that said, while this is a good idea in theory, I'm still wondering how good of an idea it is overall, because of the fact that the SEC, while they don't schedule that many FCS teams, continue to schedule like ridiculously easy non-conference opponents, and everybody thinks the SEC is the greatest thing ever. So with that said, how much of a step forward is the Big 12, Big 10, whatever the hell they are, saying to hell with it, we are going to upgrade our schedules and play real competition?
It is a huge upgrade, and it is what every major conference should do. I'm tired of seeing Western Kentucky State get beaten by 70 points at the beginning of every year. Don't get me wrong. It's important for every small college to get that big check every year from a major university while the team takes a shellacking before they go into Division II supremacy in the championship that they're shooting for. But who wants to watch a team lose 94-21
outside of their own fan base?
Yeah, not even their own fan base wants to watch that.
Well, I would argue that they actually do, because I see enough people who are going to these sports bars that are the so-called gathering holes. I was in San Francisco a few years ago, and Ohio State was playing some dog crap team. And that sports bar, which was an Ohio State gathering, loaded with people wearing Ohio State colors. So,
yeah, but you're talking about Ohio State. I'm talking about people at Western Kentucky State. People at Southern Illinois University. Luckily, whoever the trustees are, whoever the athletic director is, I can't remember right now, for Southern Illinois has not scheduled one of these types of games in a very long time. I remember the year that Indiana didn't even come for football, came for basketball. When they were ranked, they came to Southern Illinois to play.
Yeah.
And SIU did not get beat by 50 points. It was an honest basketball game. That wouldn't happen in football.
No.
A Big Ten football game where you have people that are going to mediocre training facilities, and trust me, I've been to the training facilities. They're all mediocre. mediocre training facilities against people that are shooting for the pros. The only pro that I think Southern Illinois has produced 2 pros in the last 20 years in football. Brandon Jacobs, who's currently out of football, but has 2 Super Bowl rings, and a punter who I can't remember. But these are the people that they deliver, and these are the kind of people we get out of these small schools.
Well, let me ask you this, though. You did go to a small college, and I don't think you played football for Southern.
No, I didn't.
Right now, but you know, if you had the chance, obviously you would have that.
Well, no, I had the chance, but they played on carpet.
Okay. Well, the point I'm getting at is this. Assume for the moment that you're playing for the Salukis football team. You find out that you're going to the Horseshoe. What is your immediate reaction? Because it could go either way.
I hope this isn't on TV.
Why? Because even if you do well, in theory, you could do well.
Even if I do well, I catch the ball, our defense will not be able to stop whoever it is.
So the idea of you being able to call all your friends and family and say, hey, Mom and everybody else, I'm going to be on TV. The idea that maybe you could have a good game, and possibly, because small school players can get into the pros, possibly have a good game tape. All those other and the idea of playing in one of the most hallowed stadiums in college football, all of that is not good enough compared to the potential humiliation that your team would have.
Yeah. Because it's not about meatball. It's still a team sport. And your team, I remember there was a game in high school where my sophomore year, the varsity team went 0-9, right?
Okay.
Owen lost every single game. When I was playing on the sophomore team, we went, I believe, 1-8. As on the team, the varsity team was losing, I believe, games by 40, 50, 60 points every game. Blown out. Nobody wanted to see that. Not even the players. We all like, man, we hope that's not us next year.
Is there any reason that we should care about small schools being denied the possibility of a large paycheck to fund the rest of their athletic program? Is there any reason we should have sympathy for that?
Well, no, we should have sympathy because a small school needs that paycheck. Jackson State would need that paycheck that they would get because their conference is not ranked at all. When was the last time you heard anyone talk about Grambling since Eddie Robinson left?
A couple of times, but nothing major.
Right. So, like you don't hear about their players. You don't hear about anybody from Jackson State. You barely hear anybody from Mississippi State. So it's not so much that they need the paycheck because they do. It's that the publicity that these players are hoping to get when they're being shut out by superior athletes on other programs. Because these other programs like USC, if they go and play
USC has never scheduled FCS schools.
Right, but I'm talking about if they were to play some El Paso State. If they were to play El Paso State, they would have what they would do is they would break down film and know who they have to stop, right? Well, every college does this. Everybody knows who they have to stop. A small school can't stop anybody. So all they're doing is putting their players out there and like, just give it a good show. And you can't do that. What
about the SEC? You see, the Pac-10...
Oh, the SEC is the worst at doing that. They do that shit every single year. That's another reason I'm sick of it. I hope the SEC follows this trend where they stop playing people that are
ridiculously inferior.
Yeah, and actually go to playing other teams like say Boise State, Iowa, those type of games.
I would have even loved them to play USC. I think the Trojans are one of the few schools, even in their down years, where they're actually crazy enough to say, "Bring it on."
Yeah.
And so same. I'm not necessarily sure about Notre Dame. I've seen them have some tough schedules.
Notre Dame needed more cupcakes on their schedule because they got exposed in that championship game.
Yeah. Now, the bigger conferences, there's one thing that kind of bothers me about this thing. And by the way, just for the record, the even worse thing than playing a small school that has very little chance is the possibility of losing to one of those schools.
Yeah.
I.e. Michigan v. Appalachian State. The Wolverines, they have, I like Brady Hoke, but they have not really been heard from since that game. They have not been heard from.
When a small school plays the perfect game.
Yeah.
That's what everybody's hoping for.
Yeah.
The perfect game.
Yeah. But the thing that bothers me is this isn't necessary. Alvarez can talk all he wants, but there's the possibility that this wasn't done for the idea of the spirit of competition. Mm-hmm. All of these super conferences, teams joining other conferences, and now it's not. Now you're not looking at 10-team conferences anymore. You're looking at 12-team conferences, 16-team conferences,
and it's diluting their money.
The problem is, it's not even necessarily a problem, but you're not really looking at the spirit of competition so much as you have conferences that are so large that you don't have a chance really to schedule a decent out-of-conference schedule, possibly. Mm-hmm. Well, maybe decent, but not superior. So, are we saying that it's not necessarily a spirit of competition as much as it is they have no choice? They have fewer slots to fill outside of their own conference.
Well, now they don't. Well, here's something that just hit me. They're going to a playoff system.
That's true.
Right? Mm-hmm. So your record is going to be...
The BCS, by the way.
Yeah. Your record is going to be kind of important. What's to stop any of these teams from just abandoning their conference altogether, going independent, and then scheduling? Yeah, and then scheduling so they can have the best possible record at the end of the season and making it to the playoffs.
I could see some schools doing that, but not by and large the whole thing. Eventually they're going to have... Anyway, so I can't answer that question. But I can't see a whole lot of schools doing that. So the upshot is kudos to the Big 10 or Big 12 or whatever, but I don't see... Until the SEC follows suit, I don't see this to be a massive panacea.
Yeah. It's a good showing, as you said, but unless every major conference does it, then it's pointless.
Oh, by the way, to wrap up the topic, the FCS schools will be phased out gradually. Some of these schools are still contractually obligated to play. It could be out as soon as the year 2016. Also, the FCS has a grand total of 8 wins over the Big 10 this century. So,
oh, you're talking about the 2000s? The aughts?
Yeah. So with that said, why don't you tell them what's on your mind, brother?
I'm glad you asked. What's on my mind is feel-good stories. I'm tired of feel-good stories. You know, you go on the Yahoo News and they show you feel-good story. Some high school kid who's mentally challenged and handicapped made a basket at the end of a game or at the beginning of a game, and then they immediately took him out because he's mentally challenged and he shouldn't play basketball. I'm sorry. I'm tired of these fucking... Every year is the same thing. Get the kid a bucket, teach him how to mop a floor. Alright? I am so tired of people treating these kids... Like, don't get me wrong, it's sad. It's sad that people tease these kids and make them feel bad about who they are and what they do. I myself spent time in special ed. I've been around people that drool and throw shit at each other. Alright? I'm well aware. Yes, I spent time in special ed. But here's the thing. They don't need to play basketball if they can't play basketball. I didn't play basketball because I couldn't play basketball. I played football. People who aren't athletically inclined to play a game should not be playing that game. It's competition. It's not something to make you feel good. It's so you can get ahead in life and enjoy the sport. Who's enjoying the sport when Corky is starting instead of you? Huh? Nobody wants to see Corky. I don't want to see Corky shooting baskets. I don't want to see Corky catching the pass and stumbling 2 yards downfield because he can't run because he has a horrible limp. one leg shorter than the other. Get Corky off the field. I don't want to see that bullshit.
Unless you line up Corky under center, and then
oh, that's even worse. The blind kid playing football, get his blind ass. He don't even know what the snap count is. Get him off the field. I know they have blind football players. You know, they got a whole blind football team where they hit a bell, and the fucking blind deaf. I don't give a fuck. They can't play. They're not going to the pros. All right, there's one deaf player in the NFL. One. You know what he plays? Nothing. They don't put him in. So, look, what I'm saying is this. It started with Nikisha Sales. Nikisha Sales tore her Achilles, couldn't play. So UConn stumbled her ass out there so she could make a layup off a missed free throw, so she could break the record. I'm a huge women's basketball nut, but that's just wrong. And Gino Ariema should be fired for it. Then it moved on to the handicapped players, and it's good sportsmanship. No, it's not. It's boring. Get the athletes on the court. I'm done.
Funny you should mention the differently abled, as the politically correct are so inclined to call them.
You're retarded.
No, we're going in a slightly different direction. As we are taping this, somewhere in South Africa, Oscar the Blade Runner Pistorius is holding his own memorial service for the girl that he shot to death on Valentine's Day. Dude, for somebody with no legs, you have two of the biggest balls I have ever seen in my life. You actually had a memorial service for the model you shot to death.
How many times did you shoot her?
Emptied the gun. Emptied it. And this was after she started screaming, "Ouch, I've been shot." Bang, 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 some more. Look. Do you know, I'm saying this as a 45-year-old two-time divorcee, I don't have that many shots at love anymore, right? So I look for any slice of optimism I can to get a nice, decent girl. I mean, just as last week I had some girl who was kind of cute, but not like scorching, stand me up, right? And it was going to be a good date. We were going to the Getty. But no, she had to do something, ain't heard from her since. Bottom line, whatever. Now, I can deal with that, right? As long as I have hope. My hope is things like Seal dating Heidi Klum or marrying Heidi Klum, because that tells me that I have a shot at a supermodel.
They got divorced.
And then there was Oscar Pistorius, right? 2 stumps and some really handy footwork over at Home Depot, and he's an Olympian, and he gets himself this scorch cake, and what does he do? She's anemic, he fills her full of lead.
She needed the iron.
Yeah, she needed the iron. I mean, dude, you totally took like whatever little hope all of us weird-looking men have and stomped on it under those little flaps things that you call feet.
Under his nubs.
Under those warped water skis that. And I really hate myself for saying this stuff, because I respect people who, triumph over adversity.
Who file lawsuits to get into the Olympics?
Yeah, but Oscar Pistorius, you're a